The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 14th day of June, 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Taylor Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in his news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Happy Friday, folks. We made it till the end of the traditional work week. Titan Express says GM, which means good morning. Happy Friday. How many people out there excited for many people in Bermuda? This represents a long holiday weekend. Yeah, everyone, you made it. This is the first, well, it's not technically summer because summer begins, as Sherry would remind us, on her birthday, which I believe is the 21st of June. But you know how Bermudians are. Bermuda Day, unofficial start. This is the second holiday of the summer. You know, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? We're in summer mode. I was shocked. I went on Twitter this morning, I went on X this morning, and you know what I found out? There is parties going on right now. People like partying. Like, I guess you wake up early in the morning, like 4 a.m. and so on, and you party. So it looks like Carnival is in effect in Bermuda right now. So I just want everyone to have fun. Be safe, man. Be safe. Be safe. Be safe. We don't want any incident. Live to tell the greatest story about how much fun you had dancing and jumping and partying, but be safe in doing it. So to all those, do they call them revelers? Yeah, the revelers or partiers or dancers. I'm not up with the lingo, but to everyone out enjoying it, just be safe. Be safe. Be safe. All right. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us a part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the Dame Lois Browne-Evans' daughter, Bermuda's first recognized national hero, Tina Evans, on the show. We're going to be discussing her mom's legacy. If you've been living under a rock or you just don't know, Dame Lois Browne-Evans was recognized, as I remember, as Bermuda's first national hero. So looking forward to the conversation with her daughter, Tina. Don't forget to subscribe on our website and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's jump right into today's conversation, though. Here's your question of the morning. Who is someone you believe is worthy of being recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? Who's someone you believe is worthy of being recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? Who do you think, like, who comes to mind, living or not? Who do you believe is someone worthy of being Bermuda's next national hero? Who comes to mind for you? And just for those who don't know, we have, I think, 8 or 9 national heroes. I think we have 8. I think Bermuda currently has 8 national heroes. But who's someone that comes to mind? Who is someone you believe is worthy of being recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? Just one person, or maybe you have multiple people. And I'll go through the list of you because I realized previously that a lot of people don't know who some of Bermuda's national heroes are. Suzanne Ingham says, awesome long weekend to you, Jamel and TDH team. Thank you, Suzanne, and the same to you. Wishing you a peaceful one. So Bermuda's 8 national heroes are Dame Lois Browne-Evans, Dr. Edgar Fitzgerald Gordon, Dr. Paulu Camarafago, Sir Henry Tucker, Mary Prince, Gladys Morrill, Sir Edward Trenton Richards, and Sir W. Swan. Sir John W. Swan, sorry. So those are Bermuda's 8 national heroes. As you'll note, there are 3 women, 5 men. Who else? Who are your thoughts? Who else do you think is worthy of being a national hero, and why? And why? Like, what is the why? Like, why do you think they should be recognized as such? Rekai says Raymond Shubba Young from Ordroad, the Honorable Mark Bean, Naki Wells, Flora Duffy. Yeah, I don't know Raymond Shubba Young, but would be happy to learn more about him. Why should the Honorable Mark Bean, Naki Wells, and Flora Duffy be recognized as national heroes? What is their contribution to the island? I asked that question because I remember reading the national heroes of last year, and people did not know who Gladys Morrell was, right? They didn't know what her contribution was to Bermuda. It was easy with some of the others because they were politicians, right? Or, Dr. E.F. Gordon, not just a politician, but he helped create the Bermuda Industrial Union. And so helping understand why these folks would make have a case or a good argument to be recognized as national heroes. Like, don't just say a name if you can. Like, say the name and why. Why would these people make sense? But again, audience, the question of the morning is, who is someone you believe is worthy of being recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? Headley and Swan says Dale Butler. Why? Dale Butler is one at the time. He was Bermuda's youngest principal. He then went on to be not just a politician, but a minister in a few ministries. I think the greatest disappointment with Dale Butler is that he was never named the Minister of Education. I remember back in 1998 when the PLP won, a lot of people expected Mr. Butler to be named as the Minister of Education, and it never came true. Never came true. Suzanne Ingham says Keith Dunstan, deceased. He was first Bermudian to referee World Cup and FIFA. Really? See, I didn't know that. Thank you for that knowledge. Thank you for that knowledge, Suzanne Ingham. Keith Dunstan, the first Bermudian to referee World Cup and FIFA. I'll have to look that up. Thank you for that. Who else, audience? Who is someone you believe is worthy of being recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? Tori Russell says Townsy Russell. He was a trailblazer in football, playing for one of the first integrated FA Cup finals, along with Clyde Best. Yeah, I know about Townsy Russell because he's the grandfather of a couple of my friends. So I think it's worth a shot, Tori. Thank you for that. Rekai says Shubba has invested 30 years into the Pedrick community. At one point, he was coaching sessions and cutting the grass and painting the pitches. If you know him, you'll know why I feel like he's a hero. We need to have our national heroes being community heroes. I love that. That part right there. Community heroes should be our national heroes. Bang, right on. Tori Russell says Clyde Best for his contributions. Yeah, Clyde Best. Clyde Best broke barriers, man. I don't think that's talked about enough. He broke barriers. He set a way for Bermudians. Teo Dill says, Ottawell Simmons, father of Bermuda's modern labor movement, led the island through the national strike in 1981 and won. Yeah, Ottawell Simmons. I remembered growing up in the 80s, and that's why I always say, and I'm not saying we need to go back in time, but if you grew up in the 80s and you saw the way people protested, man, boy, people laying their butters down in front of those big Mack trucks coming out of the thing down Front Street, the container ship area, and all of that. I'm just like, we are so comfortable these days. Like, we didn't have to go through half of the stuff, right? We had it. So, and it's not like we don't have anything to fight for. We're just complacent, comfortable. Some may say lazy. Who else, audience? Who do you believe should be recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? Who is someone you believe should be recognized as Bermuda's next national hero. Charles H. Jeffers II says the progressive group for their work to end segregation. All right. The progressive group, Charles H. Jeffers says, it's interesting because the argument being made in so many factors of the Black community these days with that desegregation was the worst thing for Black people, right? So it's always interesting seeing segregation, how it's being used these days. Ending segregation was great. And then now people, a lot of Black people think that ending segregation was not good for Black people because now we stopped supporting Black business and now that we could go into white business. Interesting, because I don't think the idea of ending segregation was so that Black people would stop supporting Black businesses. What else do you think, audience? What are your thoughts? Who is someone you believe is worthy of being recognized as Bermuda's next national hero? What are your thoughts? Mosaias on Instagram also says Ottawell Simmons. Ottawell Simmons. Who else, audience? Who else? I want to take people away, and I'm grateful for the folks, Rekai and Tori in particular, and Charles, who have taken us away from politics and politicians, and Suzanne, sorry. Let's think beyond politics, right? Because if you look at the national heroes that have been named, all of them except Mary Prince and Gladys Morrow were politicians or ran for politics in some respect. Even Gladys Morrow, for instance, was involved politically, not necessarily a politician, but I'm sure there are many people beyond politics. And I'm going to use Dame Lois Browne-Evans, who we'll be discussing today. If you take the politics away, she still was worthy of being a Bermuda national hero. You feel me? And even if you look at the late Ottawell Simmons, if you take politics away, Teo didn't mention politics. So who are some people in our community that were not politicians or involved in politics per se that you deem worthy of being Bermuda's next national hero? Who are some people? Michelle White says, were there ever media heroes? Shirley Dill and David Lopes or other long-serving radio personalities who have given residents a platform to have a voice. Yeah, I mean, Everest Acosta, Glenn Blakeney, right? What's the Bermuda Recorder, Teo? Bermuda Recorder, help me, Bermuda Recorder. Mr. Place. Yes, game changer, Mr. Place. Sparkling Ming says, can someone please state the criteria for a person to become a national hero? So you can actually go on the government website, and we did share the criteria last year, but on the government website, what is a national hero? It just says a hero is a person who is admired and acknowledged for their courage, outstanding achievements, and noble qualities. A national hero is someone who beyond that has made significant positive contributions to the growth and development of society and represents all of us. To know our heroes is to know ourselves, our values, our collective history, who we are, and what makes us Bermudians great. Acknowledging our heroes is an acknowledgement of who we are, our history, heritage, and culture. So, I mean, that's what we got from the website, the National Heroes Day website. But yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts though? What are your thoughts in terms of who, based on just that, should be recognized? Someone who has contributed greatly to the community, the greater community. Keep them coming. Who else? We've got Ray Kai says Laverne Ferbert. Her newspaper was taken from her. She worked hard to support rights and freedoms. Her service to the PLP helped to shape the modern version of the party. Shamari Talbot Warwick says the Talbot brothers. They were the singers, right? Or the just help me out. I'm not well versed. Teodil says maybe not the next one, but Dr. Karika Weldon will earn this honor within our lifetime. She has done and is doing extraordinary region-leading work. Interesting, yeah. Jackie Eve says Ira Phillips. Was he associated with the recorder? I'm not sure, but I know Mr. Place was the founder. I just can't remember his first name, Mr. Place. He was the Bermuda recorder. All right, we're going to bring Teo Dillon for early news break so that we can have an extended conversation with Tina Evans, the daughter of Dame Lois Browne-Evans, our first recognized national hero. And, folks, I don't say this, please, I'm not hating. I'm not hating because I know you all think I'm probably going to be hating. I appreciate that, Bermuda Carnival for what it is and that people are going to be out having a good time, a good, safe time, I hope. But what I hope's not lost in all of this is, the National Heroes Holiday, the people that we are honoring, recognize, and have received this lifetime, beyond lifetime achievement award to remain in our hearts, our culture, and our history forever. So I think the importance of today's conversation, hopefully, young children, when I was in school, maybe Teo was in school, maybe when Tina was in school, we weren't learning about the Mary Princess. I don't think we weren't. I say I don't think because I weren't necessarily paying attention, but you get my point. This is an opportunity for us to not just learn about them, but to uphold them in all that they contributed to the Bermuda that we get to enjoy and experience today. Let's bring Teo Dill in for the Daily Hour news break, and after that, we'll be with Tina Evans to discuss her mother's legacy and national heroes in general.
Morning, fam. See you. How's everything?
I'm good, Ray. I mean, Tay Dill.
I apologize. The weather, headache, trying to migraine, that type of thing. But yes, you should clown me. I look ridiculous.
No, we love it. We love it. But Tay, man, this is a topic. Obviously, I believe that you were a senator at the time when Dame. Yep. Well, here's the thing. Let's go back. In 2007, I had just started at Hot 107.5 as your sidekick, right? And
hey, wait, don't degrade yourself like that. You were not a sidekick. You were a co-pilot. At the very least, you were a co-pilot.
Okay, fine, co-pilot. And I think one of my first experiences, Teo, where we've spoken about this on the show before, you had interviewed Dame Lois Browne-Evans. And before that interview went public, if I'm not mistaken, she had passed away. Mm-hmm. The final public interview she had done. During that time, we still recognized this holiday weekend as the Queen's birthday. The Honorable Ewart F. Brown then pushed forward to have National Heroes holiday, which originally was in October, and that Dame Lois Browne-Evans will be recognized as the first national hero. And all that I just said, right? Why is it so important for us to even be having these conversations?
Man, look, at the time, if you can believe it, for folks that don't necessarily remember what it was like then, almost 20 years ago, mm-hmm. There was a real public debate about it, because the argument against identifying and acknowledging national heroes was that you couldn't find a genuine national consensus about mm-hmm. the individuals that would make sense to be placed on that type of eternal pedestal. Mm-hmm. But I'm grateful for Dr. Brown's leadership in saying, look, you're never going to get absolute consensus about anything in this life. There's always going to be folks that disagree. Mm-hmm. But if you work from first principles, that is, if we've decided that a national hero is somebody that has changed Bermuda for the better, mm-hmm. in an objective sense, like you can't argue that their efforts didn't improve things for basically everybody, they must be celebrated in this way. They have to be. Otherwise, you're not functioning as a rational country. Because if you don't celebrate your true game changes, what's mm-hmm. the point of having a country in the first place?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think these years later, man, again, I like how the government or, whoever's responsible, stop doing it as if this is something that we should just be doing every year. Right. It's not.
That was always the premise in when it was originally created. The category mm-hmm. national hero, it was mm-hmm. part of the original public statements. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantee that we're going to have somebody that we can nominate on an annual basis, because being a national hero, you're one of one, like once in a generation, once in a century type person. Yeah. So we should not expect national heroes to be named on the annual basis, because there's just not enough people that are that extraordinary walking on this island for at all, ever.
Here's my only, and I wouldn't say problem or issue, my only concern with the National Heroes thing. My only concern, and I know you, the audience, and you are going to feel me on this. I know Tina's going to feel me on this as well. My problem with the National Heroes recognition is that only one person has been recognized while they're living, and that's Sir John W. Swan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is
the problem.
It is a great predictable shame that we, like people all over the planet, are not good at giving folks their flowers while they're still around to smell them. Right.
Correct.
So it's not a Bermuda unique problem, but it is still a problem, right? Like, we do have heroes walking on this island right now, folks that have objectively, unequivocally improved the lives of basically everybody in this place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish we were better at that.
Yeah, that, again, no disrespect to the organizers or whoever selects them. I just think that and it's, again, Teo, thank you for saying that. It's not a Bermuda thing. You know, we think about when people pass, regardless wherever they are, we tend to memorialize them and celebrate them more. No, let's change the game. Let's start doing it while they're here. Anyway, Teo, you got news to do, don't you?
Yes, I do. And really quickly, as of next month, it's now going to be a whole lot easier for Bermudian students studying in Nova Scotia to come home and head back to school. Bermuda Air has announced that flights between Bermuda and Halifax are going to run twice a week starting on July 10th, following the Saturday service. Bermuda Air CEO and founder Adam Scott said the expansion is due to the remarkable response to the route, saying, quote, "Inaugural flights were basically full and bookings have been solid ever since. Now, this really matters for the large number of local students heading to universities in the Maritime Province, especially since before Bermuda Air's introduction of the run, there was a decade-long absence of direct flights from the island to Halifax." So, Jay, like, I know, if you think of in concentric circles, like you're close people, then you're slightly less close people, then you're slightly less close. In each one of those circles, there's at least two people that went to university in the Maritime, right?
Yep.
Like these are flights that our people have always needed, and it's really dope that Bermuda Air has made it easier for folks to get from school.
I know some Bermudians are thinking like Republicans with Joe Biden's thing about you know how Joe's saying, I'm gonna cut what's it called, student debt, and they're like,
yeah.
Cutting their debt, I had to pay mine. There's some Bermudians probably like, what? I didn't have that option. You know what I'm saying?
You better get in the rowboat too. I had to take a little punt, row across the ocean, get to school. You guys know enough about that. Yeah. No, I feel you. Well, speaking of Halifax universities that Bermudians regularly attend, the Dalhousie Faculty Union has joined the international BDS movement protesting Israel's conduct in the ongoing war in Gaza. Now, Dalhousie's Faculty Union passed a motion this week calling for the university to suspend formal partnerships with Israeli academic institutions and to boycott and divest from them until Israel ends its policies of military occupation and apartheid, and condemning all the violence that's been done against civilians and schools by the IDF, including the Israelis' destruction of Gaza's last university just 4 months ago. Now, Dow's faculty union's call for divestment from Israeli institutions is in keeping with similar current efforts from universities worldwide. Now, this is the point of all this. This action hasn't seemed to have all that much impact so far, which is why it's so important to remember the success of the most significant student-led divestment effort in the past 100 years. That is the anti-apartheid movement.
In the 1970s, students began pushing for their schools to divest billions of dollars. IBM, over South Africa's policy of apartheid. Now, it took years, but that effort, involving well over 100 colleges and universities, really isolated the apartheid regime.
It was ultimately very significant, but I think it's worth pointing out that the anti-apartheid movement was really in full swing for about 3 decades. Sentiment really changed during that time.
Mm.
Now, the reason, honestly, the reason I told you all that was to remind you of this. Now, Bermuda played a role in the anti-apartheid movement on island, protesting the South African injustice, including a whole bunch of local educators. A group of around 20 teachers that lived here in Bermuda picketed Bank of Bermuda in 1981 after discovering a UN document that indicated that the bank had made loans to South African companies. Now, that solidarity-based protest led the BUT executive to divest their shares in the bank, in keeping with the global campaign to champion social and corporate responsibility. So, put another way, we can create change when we organize.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff that we can do to make the world better without relying on anybody else, as long as we organize. Keep that in mind, please. If you remember anything that we talk about today,
I
like,
think
hang on to that.
I think we've lost that, but I agree, Taylor.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to underline the point, because it is always going to be true.
Yeah.
Now, in other really interesting news, controlling interest in Clarion Group is just about to be sold, pending regulatory permission being granted, to a Jamaican investment company. NCB Financial Group has entered a share purchase agreement with Cornerstone Financial Holdings for the sale of 30.2% of its stake in Clarion, one of the largest independent integrated financial services organizations in Bermuda. Now, existing Clarion shareholders, including Edmund Gibbons Limited, will maintain their ownership stakes and have expressed ongoing support for the bank. Now, here's a short summary of Cornerstone's priorities as a company from their CIO, Jason Chambers.
Cornerstone is a privately held investment holding company, and Cornerstone's whole objective is to build a sustainable investment platform with a focus on driving shareholder value. But ultimately, that driving of shareholder value is to drive economic value in the region, transform lives, and help to shape the future. That's very important to us.
Now, I am not sufficiently expert in the language and impact of the financial services space, but we are a small place with only so many banks. So whenever somebody takes a meaningful ownership stake in one of them from anywhere else in the world, it's always worth knowing, I think. So that's why I wanted to share that with you.
Wow. Okay.
And
Things changes. I wonder what that means for banking in Bermuda, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't know yet, but I promise we'll be paying attention to it. So when more information is made available, we will share it with you right away. Now, this is some really great news. Jay, I once you reach for the soundboard, I think you're going to know what to push when I finish the story. Bermuda's premier parasport athlete continues her strong, steady march towards this summer's Paralympic Games in Paris. Jessica Lois was competing in the WPA Paris Grand Prix yesterday, where she picked up a second place silver medal finish in the T53 100 meters event with a time of 16.91 seconds, more than 2 whole seconds ahead of the third place finisher. Now, Ms. Lewis is competing in the T53 400 meters race today. We are all rooting for her to keep on doing so well in these competitions and representing our islands like the spectacular athlete she is. I spent about an hour trying to find the live stream for the WPA Paris Grand Prix. I couldn't find it. I apologize. My Google foo was inadequate to the task, but just during the day today, just Google it, look around for it, check on social media, because we celebrate our athletes.
I've been waiting.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to hit the thing. Yeah.
How's the weather looking?
Or you can keep the beach blanket at the crib this weekend, probably, because a cold front will be slowly sliding over the island for the next 72 hours. Today's skies should be generally clear with the chance of a couple daytime showers, but tomorrow is when things get gloomy, with that front I mentioned pushing a whole bunch of clouds and rain onto the island for most of Saturday and at least the first half of Father's Day. Things should have mostly cleared up for the National Heroes Day holiday, but the Bermuda Weather Service is still predicting a few showers on Monday, so plan accordingly.
All righty, Tay. Thanks so much for that. And folks, he's just sharing the news with you. He's not the actual in charge of the weather, so you heard of Carnival Revelers. And happy Father's Day. Before you go, Tay, it's in the U.S. It's National Cupcake Day. Audience, let us know, what's your favorite flavor of cupcake? What's your favorite cupcake, Tay?
Well, it's not available typically, but dark chocolate cupcake with salted peanut butter icing. It's perfect. It's perfect.
You just have to be that person. Just give me a vanilla cupcake, folks. Just give me a vanilla cupcake.
Yeah, boring, bro.
You're like one of those pineapples on pizza people. All right.
We will argue about that later.
Hey, happy Father's Day, brother. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you again next week.
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much.
All right, Teodil, folks. All right, do not forget, give us a like, a love. Make sure you share this conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to take a quick break. Come back. Got Tina Evans in the building, folks. Stick with us. 2 minutes, 27 seconds.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
It took 14 days to build your business plan. 6 months to build the courage to leave your day job. 3 weeks to find the perfect location. It took 10 days to outfit your space just right. And 1 day before your first client walked in the door. All totaled, it took you a full year to get your business operational. And this is just the beginning. To the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the people that shape our economic community, we salute you and are here for you every step of the way. BEDC, providing knowledgeable, progressive, professional, and innovative support to Bermuda businesses.
Summer is almost here. Dive into the season with dog floats and dog pools. Enjoy 20% off West Pola's dog floating toys and shop our life jackets for safety in the water this summer. Get all your summer needs before the holidays and events begin. Don't forget to stock up on poo bags and check out Dicky Bags, the poo bag holder that locks in the smell until you can dispose of it. Remember, even dogs need sunblock, so visit Noah's Ark today, Bermuda's most trusted animal supply store, for all your summer essentials, and ask us about our rewards program.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I am Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Walls, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's give a warm TDH welcome to Tina Evans. Morning. Happy Friday to you. How are you?
I am good. Better. I was under the weather yesterday, but feeling better today. Glad to be here with you.
Thank you. And Tina, I'm gonna tell you, publicly, don't say anything that's gonna get you in trouble, because your mom is looking over your shoulder right there, and that's something I would do. So be careful. Yeah. I may ask you something that's gonna get you in trouble, though.
Yeah, I won't. I put that's one of my favorite shots of her. And it was just sitting around, I think, at PLP headquarters. And I said, "Can I have it?" And they said, "Yes, you can have it." So it's one of my favorites. So I put it here just so that I can be reminded of how to behave. How's that?
Right? I love it.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for doing this. Such short notice, but I just thought, as I said earlier, I appreciate that, for this weekend, a lot of people are going to be out, partying and doing carnival stuff. But as spoken with Teo earlier, I remember when this holiday came to be. I remember when, Teo was the last to interview your mother.
I was going to bring that up. Yes,
all of that. Like for me, it was my reintroduction to Bermuda and into the media space, all of this, right? So for me, with this platform that we now enjoy, I just feel it's a responsibility for us to ensure that we play an important role in ensuring that these people who have meant so much to what we enjoy today, not only are not forgotten, but people have an opportunity to learn about them, to understand their contributions, to connect with them and their families and their legacies and so on. So thank you so much on short notice for doing this with us.
Yeah, no worries. I agree with you that, as we know, people that forget their history and forget those that they're powerless. They will flap around and not be able to make it because you don't know your history and you don't understand the contributions of women and men that have helped build the country that you live in today. This island home of ours is built on the backs of some and the decisions and the strength of those that are national heroes. So absolutely, I agree.
Thank you.
So that's why I came on.
That's why she can. She wouldn't have come if I was asking her anything.
I told Shanta, I said, Jamal's gonna get me on there and try to. I'm not doing that with Jamal today.
Me, little innocent me, no.
Yeah, right. Provocative. You go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
But let's talk about it. Like, well, we know Dame Lois Browne-Evans as the hero she was as a lawyer, a fiery attorney. We know her as the politician. We've learned about the first woman to be AG, the first woman as an opposition leader throughout the Commonwealth, right? She was the first woman to become a lawyer. I mean, there were a lot of firsts. We can go through that. But what was she like as a mom for her children and to you, especially?
All right. Well, I'm the eldest of 3 children. I'm the oldest, followed by my brother Donald, and then my baby sister Nadine, who everyone knows Nadine, and Donald, who lives abroad but is here often, big tennis star, and myself, the eldest. What did she mean to me? She was an awesome mother. One day, one of my girlfriends said to me, "You're a good mom." And I said, "That's because I had an excellent role model." The politics kept her away from the home a lot. Law kept her up late nights studying and getting ready for cases. But in between there, she found time to be with Donald and myself, and then later Nadine, that we spent quality time with her. She took that very seriously about spending quality time with her children. One of the things that I used to look forward to, she used to play games with us, word games, board games, and so forth. And, this is a woman that had been through a whole day in court, going to a political meeting or came home early that night and made sure that she spent time. And she also really just encouraged us to be ourselves, not to try to follow in her footsteps or be her, just to be ourselves and to be authentic and true to ourselves and be about service as well. Go ahead.
Indeed. And, when you consider her legacy, what are you most proud of as her daughter?
I've said it before, but she loved people. She was a fierce advocate, things that other people wouldn't touch. Because as a lawyer and as a defense lawyer, she also saw beyond what was in front of us. She had that amazing ability to see beyond that, beyond the small, the trivial, the petty. She went and looked for everything. She had an incredible view, worldview, local view as well. But at the core of it was she loved people. She was a humanitarian. Truly, I think of one of the cases that comes up, the case she did, the Marks case. South African family was here, white South African family that was here in Bermuda. They had a babysitter, and it was charged that the babysitter was a Black South African
Mhm.
woman, and they charged that they abused her and this, that, and everything else. My mom took the case.
Mhm.
People were like, Lois, what are you doing? You know, you talked about South Africa just a little while ago and apartheid. What are you talking about? This is apartheid was still going on during
Mhm.
this time. But my mother always said, you know, I'm a lawyer. I have to defend. I have to give people the right to justice.
Mhm.
And she did. And you saw that, of course, with the Tackling and Burroughs
Yep.
as well. I remember her last case. I went.
Mhm.
I don't like law. I don't like the whole feeling of you're holding someone's life in your hands, especially
Mhm.
defense attorneys. And she did this last case, and it was with a Jamaican man, and brakes failed. He ended up knocking down somebody. And I remember sitting there in the court watching her and just saying, and then watching her come home at night to study the case and study the evidence. And I remember saying, one, I couldn't do it. I'd be too fearful that I'd lose and that
Mhm.
someone, you know, this man would end up. She ended up, I think he got off for, I can't remember, due care or something, where
Mhm.
the charges were more than that. But the fact that she wasn't afraid to.
Mhm.
Then when it came down to Dr. Stubbs' bill,
Mhm.
um, 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 I remember we were opposed. We were diametrically opposed. I was like, Mom, how can you support, you know, homosexuality? And how can you? She said, it's about rights.
Mhm.
And I fought. We were like, she said, it's about rights. People have rights. Their
Mhm.
sexuality doesn't matter. They have rights. They have legal rights. And that's what we need to be fighting for. Anyway, so that's her legacy. And as a political warrior, well, she just would go to bat for anyone.
Mhm. That's incredible, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing what you just did right up until the Stubbs bill. That's a lot, but I think even understanding that the sacrifice she made in terms of coming home studying, she still had a family, but
Mhm.
understanding it wasn't just going and performing in the public for what we do these days is social media clout, right? It wasn't
Mhm.
about that.
No.
Let's be fair. She was a very unique individual. She was a Black person. She was a Black woman in a space that did not have many of her. So yeah, I can understand. Like, I mean, she just sounds like one of the most courageous people that Bermuda has
That's a
probably
good
ever
word.
come across. Audience, again, if you have any questions or comments for Tina, send them through. I'm not trying to hold it to myself because I know you all love to ask your questions and comments. I'm going to ask you something, and I hope this doesn't get us in trouble with anybody, but tell us something about your mother that the public just would not know that made her that much more special of a person. I'll tell you something I learned later in life. Legally or illegally, I enjoyed some good times at Clay House Inn.
Yeah.
That's our secret, right? I never knew that Dame Lois owned that building until her passing, right? I thought it was Choya Ming, and props to Choya Ming, one of the best to bring entertainment into the island of Bermuda. But simple things like that. She owned one of the premier buildings in Bermuda's entertainment space. So that
All
was
right.
something that made her special to me, right?
Yeah, but let me clarify that because yeah, that's her father,
Uh-huh.
my grandfather, James T. Brown, he built Clay House.
Ah.
And the ownership was, of course, of my grandfather. Later, of course, transferred to all four of his children.
Ah.
So she was at the time of his passing a part owner of the Clay House. My grandfather. Oh, you talk about, look, it's Father's Day weekend too.
Yeah.
And let's chat about that real quick. And when you talk about my mother, you cannot
Mhm.
miss two men in her life, two men in particular in her life. Her dad, my grandfather, James Theophilus Brown, he believed in her when she's coming out of Berkeley, going to teach, being a bookkeeper and all that. She looks at him and says, I want to be a lawyer. He didn't hesitate. He did everything he could for
Mhm.
her to get out of Bermuda in the 40s. I think it was the 40s, I can't remember.
Mhm.
40s to go away, unheard of. A woman, a lawyer, a woman. But there she was out there in England, surrounded
Mhm.
by the E.T. Richards and the Walter Robinsons and all those. But a woman, and it was her father who believed in her. He
Mm-hmm.
was at PHC. He was part of PHC, Pembroke Hamilton Club. They gave her a little scholarship and others, and there she went off. But it was her dad. When she came back, her dad helped her set up her own firm. The power of fathers. She honored her father to his death, and all his children honored him to his death. He was not perfect. He was a real charmer, but he wasn't perfect. The other one was my father, John Carlton Evans, who was not perfect, was not, all of that, well, every time, but he was there when she was out doing politics, doing law, doing whatever, civic, whatever. He was there. He cooked. My mother didn't cook. Do you want to know something about it? She didn't cook. She did not cook. And my father was the cook in the house. He cooked everything, and he was good. And he was there. So there are two men that were there in her life. One as a young adult, then as a husband, who was integral. They were in making her and helping her and being the woman that she has. So to all fathers that understand that you have to show up for your children. You may not have all the money, you may not have everything. Husbands that know that they need to show up for their wives, then celebrate you this weekend as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You this weekend as well.
It's interesting. I have a story about your father. So I worked.
My dad was a character. Lord,
he was. So I worked at Arnold's. I went to Bermuda College for a year when I finished high school, and I worked at Arnold's stacking the shelves, right down on St. John's Road. So I didn't know that Dame Lois lived right there, and who her husband was. I was just ignorant teenager. So this gentleman used to come in, and I thought at the time it was a Jamaican accent. He would come in and he would talk to all of us young guys, and it was always jokes and so on. So one day, I believe his name is Mr. Lathan, the manager, he says, "Do you all know who that gentleman is? That's always coming to lift your spirits and joke around with you and remind you to go and accomplish things and whatever." It's like, no, who is he? Like, I just thought he's a random guy who loved to talk. I said, "That's Dame Lois Browne-Evans' husband." It's like, well, not Dame. He says, "That's Lois Browne-Evans from PLP's husband, whatever." And I was like, really? And I was like, who would have thought him talking to us, regular guys? You just thought he was coming in, but he came, and I'm pretty sure many of the other gentlemen would remember that I worked stacking shelves there because it was a bunch of us young guys that did it. But he would come and talk to us, give us a story or two, joke around with us, and I think that's what made it so great that we didn't know who he was, but he came in there and he made us feel good about it. Like, hey, you're in here working, you're doing something with your life. What else you doing? Oh, I go up to college. You keep doing that. He was a great person, and I'm proud to say that I encountered him on more than one occasion.
Well, Arnold's was one of his favorites. He'd be in there. And my cousin, Rita, the late Rita Peniston, she was, running in. John, what you need, John? Yes, and I heard you say you thought it was a Jamaican accent. Now you want to get on his wrong side. You call him Jamaican.
Back then it was our own ignorance, right? As young people, then, we just thought any accent that sounded island was Jamaican. Of course, we never said that. We just but
no, my father, proud Trinidadian, Trini to the bone. Proud Trinidadian, never lost his accent, raised us on all foods from Trinidad. But he believed he didn't like no slouch. I don't like no slouch. Don't bring no slouch around this house. You don't like people that slouch, I don't got time for that. He was very much, I will say this, people knew you didn't mess with my mother. If you came to mess with Lois, you got to deal with John too. And where Lois was the diplomat, John was not.
I love it. I love it. And I think a point in what you just said, though, is, there's always saying behind every good man, there's a strong woman behind. I think what you just reemphasized is that having strong men behind women who want to go and do their things is just as important, right?
Yeah, it is. Partnerships are good, and having like I said, having a father show up for their child, believe in their child, having a husband support and believe in their wife, and do all that they can do as partners. Like I said, not everything's perfect because everything was not perfect, but we grew up knowing that about partnerships and about that's what we expect from our partners and so forth. But you also mentioned one other person, Clay House. You talked about Clay House and Choya Ming, and Choya Ming was the amazing entrepreneur, an amazing promoter as well. And he also recognized the shift. So when I was little, right, I would sneak up, my mom would sneak me up to see the fiery limbo dancers, the show. And the cruise ships would come in and the tourists at different hotels would be lined up, the taxis would be lined up. And my mom would sneak me upstairs sometimes to see the fiery limbo dancers. Fast forward years later, you know, Choi, that era is gone of taxis lined up and coming to see the fiery limbo dancers and all of that. And the calypso, talk about the Talbot brothers earlier. You know, fast forward a couple of years, then it was, Choi knew, he shifted. So he was doing more concerts, more promotion. And then he was doing dance hall, and then he was, you know, doing sessions there and so forth. He shifted with whatever needed to be done. So and I ended up, thank God, in my part of my career, I was a DJ on it was then ZFB, but it's now Power 95.
Power 95, yeah.
Yeah, but I was a morning jock. I was doing that morning show. And as a result of it, I did a lot of MCing shows down at Clay House, and a lot of respect for Choi. And Choi also taught, you know what we talked about, Carnival, not forgetting this weekend, Carnival weekend. I look, as a part Trini, I appreciate it. I remember when Choya Ming started in the Bermuda Day Parade, he started bringing in. And some people, Bermudians, will say, I don't know if we should have all this. It's not a Bermudian. It's part of who we are, you know?
Correct.
We can no longer say that Bermudians are just this one homogeneous group, you know, this is it. We're blended now. We've got the West Indian culture. We've got the Azorian culture. We've got the Filipino culture. So it is what it is. But I do say, yes, Carnival weekend, but let us not forget, lest we forget.
Yeah, let's connect it. Let's find a way to, and I'm glad you went there, because for me, I remember in the Bermuda Day Parade when Choi Ming would have the carnival people taking part, and the like. As a young boy and a person who was introduced to Calypso and Carnival through cricket, like test matches, it was one of my favorite things. I believe if Choi Ming was around today and still involved, there would be a historical connection, right? Again, I'm not in the inside of Carnival at this time, so I can only speak from what I see about the outside. But like I said yesterday, my honest hope is that there are some connections. I remember when Jason Sagdeo was involved, there was some going into the schools and speaking to the students and the like. I really, truly hope that that is still part of what's going on, because what we don't want to do is we don't want parties to overshadow things that it could be missing, like our national heroes and their connection. I mean, Dr. E.F. Gordon, Trinidadian, right? You know, and many people who enjoy Bermuda Carnival got their first experience probably going to Trinidad of all carnivals. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm with you on that. Let's not forget the meaning of the weekend. Enjoy it, and like I said, as a little Trini, I can appreciate it, but enjoy it. But this is what we need to do. We need to teach. We have to, and it's not just left to the schools. I know Pageant Primary does their Black History Month thing, which is really great. A couple of years ago, my sister Nadine was sending around a video of a little girl who she dressed up as Dame Lois and had a wig.
I remember that.
And Pageant Primary does their Black History Month. But we need to teach. So we got to take, even this weekend, take a moment just to say, hey, do you know son and so what Ashe, my grandson Ashe, do you know what this weekend is? Do you know why we celebrate it? I remember living in the States, Martin Luther King Day. First couple of years, everybody was service. We're going to do something,
Yeah.
and then it trickled off, to just a day off in January.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to continue. So that's why I came on the show today. It's the only reason why I came on the show.
she ain't gonna let me let it up. But let's talk about that. You just mentioned your grandson. Obviously you have grandchildren. Dame Lois has now great grands that are living. How are those grandchildren and great grands responding to the legacy that is Dame Lois Browne-Evans?
Well, my grandson's only 3, so he don't get it yet. He don't get it yet. I remember my children though, Cassie and Cassandra and Ariana. They it wasn't until they always knew their Nana as their Nana, and they just loved when we lived in Philadelphia and she would come, or they would come home for the summer, spend the summer with her. And they knew that Nana was kind of important, but it wasn't until the day of her service, her homegoing service. And they were like, Mom, we never even realized who Nana was. So I'm glad they have that appreciation and love of her, but they also now, of course, they're women. They understand who the Nana was. About to say, my youngest one is following in her footsteps with the law degrees and practicing laws. But you got to teach them. You got to teach the children.
Yeah, and honestly, you have some talented daughters. I remember Ariana, the youngest one, came on this show, and I was like, my God, how old is she? I mean, just it's in the blood. She's an amazing person, and Sandra, I believe, is the one who has a voice of angelic. Like, I mean, just you have amazing blood. Come on, let's call it.
Thank you. They're great young ladies. Yeah.
Absolutely, and although your grandson's only 3, and you just mentioned that your daughters didn't realize how important their Nana was until her service. How do you think, knowing that they felt that way at 3 years old, he understands? Because you just said something that's so key, and this is why this show exists. We have to take it out of the government, just take it out of other people's hands. I always say it's not the government's responsibility to raise your children. Let me repeat that. It's not the government's responsibility to raise anyone's children. I think it's a cop-out for us to always think that, well, they're not teaching this. We have so many resources at our fingertips right now where we can do, learn stuff on our own, even if it's just a YouTube video. Fact check it, obviously. But my point is, at 3 years old, obviously he's very young, but he is, the offspring of one of the most important individuals in our community will ever have. How do we ensure that he understands that as he grows and continues that legacy?
Yeah, and I said it and I'll say it again. We must teach. We must take this time to teach. In the car, you're driving with your child in the car. This is the National Heroes Weekend. What does it mean? I met a young lady in her 20s. And I said, somebody introduced me and they said, oh, that's Dame Lois. She did not know who Dame Lois Browne-Evans was. Wow. I cringed. And I smiled and I looked and I said, well, you need to go and find out who she is, because she's a woman you want to know who she is and what she was about. Why didn't she know? Because someone hasn't talked to her about it. And I can't leave it all on the schools. You can't just say, well, they should be teaching. You've got to also, parents, you've got to also do your part and help them remember these are the people, these are the women, these are the men who we can all carry out their legacy, and we can celebrate, honor, and teach. Yeah.
And I think, again, with many women, and I just want to go through a few things, and Tina, I'm going to leave a lot off, so feel free to fill in the blanks. There's a game called Bermuda Trivia, which we produced.
Oh, no, I've seen it. Go ahead.
You can learn a lot about Dame Lois there. And one of the reasons that game came about, just to give some context, because we don't talk about it, but and the Minister of Culture, Owen Darrell, says, you guys need to promote this. You need to get it out. And it is in some stores. But that game came about because when we started Daily Hour and we would do the trivia, it was all Bermuda based. And we realized very quickly, Bermudians don't know Bermuda.
Yeah.
And it made me think, how can we be so territorial, right, about Bermuda when we don't know it ourselves? right? So, but I want to go through a few things. So if someone's tuned in right now and it's National Heroes Weekend, they don't know something about Dame Lois. Here's one thing right here. In 1953, she became Bermuda's first female lawyer. Write that down.
Yeah.
She also entered politics in 1963 when the PLP was formed, right? That year. And many people, we hear the name Margaret Thatcher. We hear Margaret Thatcher a lot. But it was Dame Lois Browne-Evans who became the first female opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but in the entire British Commonwealth. I'm going to say it. You might hear about Margaret Thatcher and so many others, but Dame Lois was first. That's important. So again, she has a lot, as Anika DeShiel says here, she was a lot of first. And I'm not going to go through the entire list of first. Tina, you can add some as well. But yes, this information is important to know. And it's our job to ensure that people know this stuff. It's our community. It's not the responsibility of others to necessarily educate and teach your children about who they are, whence they come, and who came before them.
Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty on that. Honestly.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about Dame Lois Browne-Evans, my mother, who, by the way, let me just drop this in here too. 1963, she took over as opposition leader in 63 or joined the political party. She was an opposition leader. She joined the PLP, took over.
Yeah.
Was member. 63, I was 1 year old.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
she took on that responsibility with a 1 year old.
with a 1 year old. Yeah. And that's the legacy of a supportive father, supportive system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was 1 year. So she was going to political meetings while she was pregnant with me up until when she went. Yeah.
Before you head out, one last question. How do you hope her legacy inspires others, especially Black women?
I hope it inspires us to something you said, and a term that I would definitely use for her, to be courageous, to be confident, and not let the systems, any system that you find yourself in, be it work, be it political party, be it a social club or so forth, don't let that hamper you in, and see beyond what people want to put in front of you, whatever barriers people want to see beyond that and go for it and just keep it moving. She was courageous. She's advocate. And she also, as a woman, she supported other women. Always. I found a picture the other day. I forgot this. She used to make sure she went to people's called to the bar when women were being called to the bar. She really made an effort to go there. So I saw one, Shakira Del Francois. I saw her and somebody else, I can't remember now. My mom was there at their called to the bar and all of that. So women, support other women, be courageous. Don't let anybody put barriers in front of you. And above all, my mother was a God-fearing woman. She loved the Lord. And that he gave her strength.
Indeed. And I just want to emphasize, women support other women. Stop hating. Support them. Real quickly, I just want to share what the audience has said. Lydia Simmons says, thank you, Miss Tina. You're looking more and more like your mother. She was a people person. Teray Tall, she says, love in this chat. Good morning. Nika DeShields says, she and I left way at Canvas regularly. They came to my house my entire life, and my great-grandmother made me sit and listen. I'm very, very young. Yeah, it was different. Tina, thank you so much. Honestly, I can't thank you enough for trusting that we would have a good conversation.
I knew we were going to have a good conversation. He likes to stare at the camera. He said, you ain't staring at me.
Look, and it's interesting you mentioned your career, because I said to Maya last week, I'm like, Tina was Lady T when I was growing up. She was on the radio. So a lot of people don't even know your story, but one day we'll get there too,
Yeah, one day we'll get to my story. For now, happy Heroes Weekend. Happy Father's Day to you. And to all the men out there, and remember what I said, show up for your children. Show up for your children. And Carnival revelers, Bacchanal time, yes? I want you all to be safe. It's Carnival.
Thank you so much, Tina. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
All right, Tina Evans, folks, if you appreciated this morning's conversation, do me the biggest favor. Don't just like it and love it. Please share that conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. Someone's going to be eligible for a prize when we come back from this break. And we'll do the hashtag giveaway as well. So we'll give another person an opportunity to enter. We'll be back in 1 minute, 15 seconds. Stick with us.
The Mailboxes team aren't just employees of Bermuda's Best Shipping Company. They're also your neighbors, and neighbors help each other.
Where my childhood was found.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Pair with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All righty, welcome back. Thanks again to Tina Evans, folks. Really appreciated the conversation with her this morning. Again, if you appreciated that conversation, please do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. These are the kind of conversations why this show exists. Trust me, it's beyond my rants. All right. So thank you so much for your contribution. It's time. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these kind of conversations with you on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, here you go. Here's the question of the morning. It is the most silly question you're going to get, but hopefully someone knows the answer, and you'll be entered into today's draw. How many legs does an ant have? All right, we've got two. So Shamari and Mark enter twice into this week's draw. They both got it. 6. All right. And so we're going to do the hashtag giveaway as well. We'll do the hashtag giveaway. Let's see who's it going to be. Hashtag the Daily Hour. Hashtag the Daily Hour. Let's hashtag the Daily Hour while we wrap it up. But I want to give my final thoughts on Heroes weekend and the like. First off, I want to send a big shout out to everyone, all the fathers out there. Be safe, enjoy this weekend. Children need fathers. They need parents. They need guardians. They need role models. Fathers, there's a job for you to do, and I hope that you understand the importance of your roles as you do it. I appreciate that Bermudians can have honest, good fun celebrating during Carnival, but I also hope that all that Tina shared during our discussion this morning can inspire us to celebrate all those who came before us, who gave us an opportunity to actually enjoy partying and celebrating with one another in this space. If I asked a random person on the street, what is Dr. Paulu Camarafego's contribution? Or Dame Lois Browne-Evans' contribution, or Gladys Morrow's contribution, they probably would not know. But these are our national heroes. These are the people who exist, that are celebrated as game changers in the lives, in the community, in the country that we have. As Tina said, It needs to happen outside the classroom. Are we having these conversations amongst our family, our friends, at at the water cooler, at our family functions? I always tell you, I was disappointed 2 Christmases ago when my young Black cousins graduating with master's degrees didn't know about tech. Seriously, we've got to blame ourselves, look within. These are important things, Anika de Shields says, we learned about these persons in civics, bring it back. This is the importance of Bermuda trivia. It's understanding there was a void to fill. And I am going to have so much fun watching Patrina, Power Girl, O'Connor Painter, and Mr. Photogenic host Bermuda's new game show, Bermuda Trivia, which is going to give people a chance to really connect. Yes, it's going to be fun, and people are going to have the opportunity to win cash and money. But the community is also going to have an opportunity to learn about things that we should all know. So look out for the game show. And if you haven't already, pick up your Bermuda trivia cards. Let's do the giveaway to see who's going to join Shamari and Mark in the red cup today. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Only 8 entries showed up. Let's see. All right. Drum roll. I don't know why it doesn't pick up every hashtag. Let's see. Who's it going to be? Karen Edwards Simmons. She joins. Let's drop Karen in there as well. All right. So who's going to be this week? Karen said she never wins anything except for the Daily Hour. Maybe we're her good luck thing, right? Maybe with us, it's just a different animal, right? So let's do this. Let's put Shamari and Mark and Karen in the draw and see who is it going to be. All right. Let's empty my red cup from last week. Let's put it in. Let's put it in, filled up, name on the inside. All right. Let's shake that cup up. Let's see who's going to be this week's winner. All right. Let's pick one out. Wow, Karen. Karen again. Congratulations to you, Karen Everett Simmons. You can send an email to engage@thedailyhour.com. Thank you to everyone who continues to contribute. Here's your daily inspiration before we head out and enjoy this long weekend. Quote, the law should be made more meaningful so the common man can understand it. End quote. Quote, the law should be made more meaningful so the common man can understand it, end quote. And that's Dame Lois Browne-Evans. That's a quote she made. All right, audience. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. We love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Tuesday. Please, please, please have a wonderful Father's Day, Heroes, Carnival weekend. I'm Jamel Hartman. Make it a safe and a great one. See you again on Tuesday. I'm out. Peace.